Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So I've already done this video with foundations. You guys seemed to really like it. So I thought we would do it with my entire eyeshadow collection. Yes, all of it. And there's a lot because I love eyeshadow. It's my favorite part of the makeup process. So grab a snack because it's gonna be a long video, but yeah, let's get into it. I can't say that these are all the eyeshadow palettes I've ever bought. I've actually gotten rid of a lot, surprisingly. I know, just wait. Where do we even begin? First of all, we'll start with my favorite one. This is one of my favorite palettes. I've purchased it, I've repurchased it twice. I've had 3 total. Is the Jaclyn Hill original palette. I love this. I think it is such just a genius palette, like, cause you have pretty much everything you need. If you are a makeup artist, I highly recommend you get this palette. I feel like the shades are just so beautiful, they're blendable, and I just love the color selection in here. I love the shimmers. This shade is one of my favorite shades ever, especially on brides. This in the inner corner is just perfection. I keep it in my kit. I kind of want to buy another one because I want one for myself because I'm selfish. This one is the 3502, which they discontinued. This is one of my favorite neutral palettes. I feel like this one was very underrated. I love like the warm shades in here. I love these warm browns. This black is awesome. The shimmers I'm not like the biggest fan of. I typically reach for another palette for the shimmers, but the majority of it is matte, so I love this one. I think it's a great neutral warm palette. Okay, so this was an old MAC palette. These were the shades in here, which I never use. I just thought this was so cool how it's a boom box. So that's why I have it. But I put all the shades from the Jaclyn Hill Vault palettes in here. They've all pretty much cracked and have just, you know, not survived very well. So I just don't really reach for it for that reason. I, for some reason, got a good formula of the Vault when it first came out. So I actually do like the formula of those, but I felt like if you got all of them, like there were so many oranges that just looked exactly the same next to each other, and so I didn't love that. I just never reached for it. I just prefer the original palette better. I don't love small palettes. I just always like having a lot of options. But the Jaclyn Hill 2 palette. Now when this came out, I was like, I'm not really sure about that. There were a lot of palettes that are similar to this, where like it's a brightly colored palette, but it's more in like the warm range of the rainbow, aside from the purples. So I was like, I'm not sure, but like, I'll just get it because I don't know, it looks pretty. I can honestly say it's one of my favorite palettes because the neon colors in there are so neon. Like the purples, the pinks, the oranges, like, are just incredible. And I like that the shimmers, they have like a lot of dimension to them, which I really like. So I love the shimmers in here. I think the mattes are incredible. I love this light white shade for my inner corners. So I love this palette. She killed it with this. It's one of my favorite brightly colored palettes ever. Another favorite Morphe palette, because I just have so many, is the Morphe 35B, which is now the Lisa Frank palette. This has been very well loved, as you can see. I like to scrape out the shadows to make face paint. I've been debating on getting the Lisa Frank just so I have another one of these because I love it so much. I love that it's like neon because when I'm reaching for colors, I want bright, bold colors. So I love this. It's one of my favorites. And if you are an artist and you like doing brightly colored looks but don't want to break the bank, get the Morphe 35B. So this one, I always forget I have it. I opened it up and I was like confused for a minute. But this is the Morphe 35M Boss Mood palette. It came out around Halloween and you can kind of see why. Since I always forget I have it, I don't even know if I can really speak about the formula. I know the black is good. I think the color story is kind of unique, but yeah, I just really forgot I had this. And I feel kind of embarrassed about it. I think I've only done like one look with this on a client where he did like a really pretty green, like chartreuse eye, and that was it. Like, it sat in my kit and I totally forgot about it. The Morphe and James Charles palette. I don't like it. I just don't like it.
Did I stutter?
I just feel like it's not very good. Like, I just feel like the pigmentation is not the best. I think the 35B is just so much better. I hate the neutral shades. They're so orange. Like, just these shades here, I just don't like it. I think the shimmers are not good. They're just more of like a frost. They're not very, I just don't like it. And I still use it from time to time when there's like that one shade I need. I feel like I totally could have done without this, and I just feel like the 35B one is a lot better. And there are just better colorful palettes on the market. I just did not like it that much.
And on that note,
this was when like Morphe first started. Like, if you have one of these with the red M, you are an original fan of Morphe. It's the 35T, like 35 taupe. I never reach for this, ever. It is just very boring to me, and there's a lot of shimmer in here for kind of like no reason.
What was the reason?
I feel like this was before they like really did like a custom formula, so I don't love it. I don't even know why it's still in my vanity or why I haven't thrown it out. Okay, this other Morphe palette. Now, for the sake of this video, and because I know you guys have heard a lot of people talk about it, I don't really want to turn into a drama channel. That's just not what I want to put my energy towards. I just want to put it towards makeup. So I'm strictly just talking about this palette. Same with the James Charles one. This is the Morphe Jeffree Star one. It has a nice mirror on the inside. Can't hate that. I actually reach for this. Like, there's always at least one shade that I am reaching for in this palette, and I don't know why. I don't really know why, because I don't use it that often, but like, there's always something I need it for. So I can't really just like throw it out, you know? But the pinks are really good in here. These like shimmers are just incredible, especially on the inner corner. I love them. The neutrals I can kind of just like live without. I always reach for this palette for that gray specifically, because I don't really have any gray palettes. So I actually really like this palette. I guess we should move on to Jeffree. I have quite a few, well, I actually don't have that many. The two that I have are Blood Sugar, which when I had red hair, this was the palette that I would reach for almost every single day. People with colored hair will understand what I'm saying. When you have a certain color of hair, that hair color basically becomes a neutral in your makeup routine. I don't know, it just all goes together. So I loved this palette, and I feel like the pan sizes are really deep. Like, I'm kind of surprised like none of these shades hit pan because of how often I used it. I like the reds a lot. They can go a little pink once they've blended out, but I love this shade Blood Sugar in here, where it's like that cool, like shifty red color. It's just really, really cool. I think the casing is just so cool, how it looks like a little like medical kit. And I just thought it was very genius. Like, I like it. I can't deny it's a good palette. This is like probably the most controversial palette I have is the Shane Dawson and Jeffree Star palette, which we're just gonna put them both aside and review the product. Like I said, I never really reached for this one either, because I feel like it's hard to make a cohesive look with the whole palette. I feel like you have to reach for other things. I feel like this like yellow is really unique, but it's also not that pigmented. And another palette that I have, which I'll show you in a second, is just much better. But this, like, I think the packaging is really cool, and it was like a very clever launch, and it was huge when it came out, and I was like very lucky at that time to get it when I did. But I just feel like the color story is just very hard to work with. Like, I do feel like I need to reach for another palette, but there's also not really an amazing enough shade that I think of this palette and reach for it. Like, I just don't think about it, you know? So I would pass on this, frankly. I forgot this Morphe palette. This is the Morphe CocaCola palette, which I love this. I travel with this quite a bit. I just feel like it has everything I need. I love the neutral shades in here. You have like that fun pressed glitter. You have this really cool like bluish purpley shift shade that I need to use more in looks because it's just so pretty. It really is one of my favorites, even though it might be like the most boring. I also love Coke, even though I'm having a Pepsi today. So this is the Nikki Tutorials Beauty Bay palette. I use this for almost every single one of my creative looks because they're just such amazing pigmented shadows. Although I was watching a video today and I saw in the comments people talking about the Nikki Tutorials palette, and it seems that there were some inconsistencies because some people said the mattes were chalky. Mine aren't chalky at all in the slightest. Mine's been awesome. I absolutely love mine. I don't love this thing. Like, I think it's clever, like with the doors, but I just don't love it. This was the yellow that I was talking about, where the Conspiracy palette has one that's similar, but this one is just so much better. I just love it. Whenever I use it, it makes me want to buy more Beauty Bay palettes because I just love this so much. I don't use the neutral shades really. I just don't reach for it for that. I just have other neutral palettes that I love more, but the colorful shades in this are just incredible. So absolutely love this and would totally recommend it. Be aware that I guess there are some inconsistencies, but mine's great, so I don't know. This is the e.l.f. and Jcissa palette. The color layout of this was just so genius where, oh no. So I'm really upset that this blue shade has been so fragile in it. I've used it in so many looks and it is just the best shimmery blue. Like, I reach for this palette just for that. I mean, I reach for it for a lot of things, but like that blue, there is nothing like that shimmery blue. And this is, it was limited edition, so you can't get it anymore, but I think they should change that, so that's kind of why I'm talking about it. Who knows if they'll see this video, but I feel like having like the bright rainbow on top, then like darker and more muted shades here, and then the shimmers. I love this. This is like a rainbow palette dream come true. And I know there are so many rainbow palettes out there, but I just felt like this one was worth talking about. I loved that you could customize it with stickers. I like wrote my little name on there. I don't know why I said little name, but yeah, I just love it. I think it's such a good palette. I just wish they would come out with it again because it was so good, and I can't say enough good things. 10 out of 10. This is honestly one of my favorite palettes of all time. It is the Aina Anastasia palette. I love this like metallic alligator print. I don't know what it is, but I love it. Everything about it. The only thing is it doesn't have a like lighter transition shade. So I just reached for a bronzer. That's pretty much the only thing that like I feel like is missing for me personally out of this palette. But other than that, this is just perfection. I feel like I love the neutrals in here. I love the shimmery shades. I love the pinks, the purples, just everything. I just thought it was so perfect, just incredible. Like when I saw it, I remember like gasping. I was like, oh, what in the world? Like, I just feel like it's so beautiful. So I absolutely love this palette. I love Aina. 10 out of 10 on this one. So this is my most expensive palette in my collection. It's the Pat McGrath Mothership V, so Mothership 5. And here it is. Oh, it's just so beautiful. Nobody. These shimmers are the best shimmers that you will ever have in your entire life. The way that they reflect, the way they shift, the texture is everything. Everything. I feel like the mattes are good, but like, I feel like they're more of like a harder pressed formula. I feel like I tend to like softer mattes, like softer pressed, lighter pressed, I don't know what you would say. But the shimmers are worth every penny of this palette, and that's saying a lot because this is $125. That's the most I've ever spent on a single eyeshadow palette, but it's one of my favorites. It's what I reach for special occasions, and I just adore it. So 10 out of 10 on that one. Another expensive palette I have is the Natasha Denona bronze palette, and I've seen this in a few like anti-hauls or like hauls where people were like, I'm so glad I didn't buy these things, like, you know, those hauls. I'll probably make one at some point, but this one I don't regret a single day in my life. I love it. It was like in the $60 range, super expensive, but I love it. I think it was worth everything. You have incredible warm matte shades. This is the best warm matte palette. I think I have a few of the shades on my eyes today. I mixed like 4 different palettes, you know me. Incredible. The shimmers, like, oh my gosh, this one's Silk. I use it every time I use this palette pretty much. I love the True Bronze shade. The other shimmers, I just like, I haven't really reached for as much just because I like those two, but the mattes are just so good. I like that shimmery black for like a liner. It just gives like a really cool smoky, shiny effect, but 10 out of 10. I love this. This is a palette that's more on the expensive side as well. This is 60 something dollars. It's the Huda Beauty Mercury and Retrograde palette. I feel like I bought this a lot just for the packaging because it's so pretty, like, and just so gorgeous. I love the shimmers. The shimmers in this are so beautiful. I also love like the matte shades. I just feel like it was a really nice way of mixing like bright neon shades with neutrals. It's more of like a mauve palette, but I just think it's so good. I love it. I just think it was such a creative palette to make. 10 out of 10 as well. There are a lot of 10 out of 10s, but they deserve them. Okay, we have some Urban Decay palettes up in here. So here is the Urban Decay. As I drop one on the floor. Here's the Urban Decay Naked Reloaded palette. This replaced the original Naked palette, but here's the palette. I didn't realize at the time, but the Anastasia Sultry palette and this palette are almost identical in color scheme, but for some reason, this caught my eye and the Anastasia Sultry one did not at the time, which I can't really tell you why that was. I feel like one critique I would give this palette is better matte shades. I needed one that was like in between the bucked shade and Endgame but wasn't orangey like this. The shimmers are actually really pretty in this. I just don't really reach for it very much. I'll probably give this to like my little sister or something. This one, the Naked Heat, I love this. I think it's such a good palette. Like, this is the one that always surprises me because when I use it, I'm like, this is really good. The mattes in here are better than any of their other formulas, and these, like, there's some significant dips in there because of how much I've used it. The shimmers, I don't care. I don't care about at all, but the mattes are so good. So good. This is my oldest palette I think is in here. One of my friends bought it for me for my birthday. It's the Too Faced Chocolate Bar, which I'm sure the formula, because of how old it is like not there anymore, but this was the palette I wore every day of high school. I think like my junior and senior year, probably. I loved it. I hit pan on this gold. I thought that gold was the best gold in the world at that time. So I feel like this did really good for its time because it's a lot of neutrals, but they had like some fun colors in there. This purple is not good. I don't like it. But you had a lot of good shades in here. So I feel like it did well for its time. I don't know how well it would do today, just being honest, but yeah, Too Faced Chocolate Bar. Anastasia, I have 3 palettes in here. The Subculture at the top, Modern Renaissance in the middle, and Soft Glam. Favorite out of these is 100% Soft Glam. The Subculture I didn't like very much. I just feel like it's hard to make a whole look out of them, and I just don't think it's the best palette out there, frankly. The Modern Renaissance was huge during its time. Like, that was the palette to get when it came out, and I feel like it really set the stage for like warm red and like raspberry eyeshadows. I feel like we have Modern Renaissance to thank for that, but I don't really reach for it. Like, honestly, whenever I pick up this palette, it's for Soft Glam. I don't know why I don't just get another Soft Glam so I don't have to carry this thing around, but I'm just one of those people where I'm like, well, what if I need it? Modern Renaissance, or I mean, Subculture, meh. Modern Renaissance, good for its time, and then Soft Glam, love it. I think any makeup artist needs Soft Glam in their kit. You absolutely need it. So I have 2 Melt palettes here. I really like Melt. I think their mattes are awesome. And I know some people like don't love Melt, but I really like them. Their shimmers, what you have to understand about them is they're not smooth shimmers. They're more of like a chunky foiled look, or almost bordering like glitter, depending on the one that you get. This one I really like. I need to reach for it more. I do wish there were some better browns. Like, I don't think we needed both of these matte greens. Their black is amazing, this Bonnie. It does sometimes go a little blue, but it's really good. So I like this palette. It's called the Gemini palette. My boyfriend bought it for me for Christmas, I think 2 Christmases ago. Wow, that's crazy. And he's a Gemini, so I love this palette for that reason. It has like sentimental value for me. Yeah, and then the other one, this I just felt like was me in a palette. This wasn't even like that big. I just loved the color scheme. It was when I had bright red hair. This Tiffany blue shade is my favorite color. I love it. I reach for it quite a bit when I do my more editorial looks or like my crazy Halloween looks. I love the reds, I love the blues, the teals, just everything about this. Love it. I was actually worried it was going to be too similar to another palette that I have, which is this Anastasia one. But surprisingly, let me open them up for you. They're not as similar as I thought. Like, as you can see, I thought the blues were going to be the same. Not the same. The reds, maybe the same. That might be like the only thing. But I don't regret buying this. Now, this one, like I said, I just kind of struggle with smaller palettes. I like to have a lot of options. This, I feel like you typically have to reach for another palette. It's very fun. I love the pressed glitters. I actually genuinely enjoy each individual shade of this palette. It's just not one I reach for very much because it's small. Like, if I'm doing a big colorful look, I typically will reach for my 35B Morphe palette or the e.l.f. like Jcissa one, but I don't think it was a bad palette. I thought it was very cute. I felt like this one was me in a palette as well. This is also me in a palette. Anything that's red and blue is me in a palette. I think you guys know this by now. My friend got me this for my birthday, and I actually really like this palette. Like I said, the smaller palettes are a little harder for me to work with and like carry on because I feel like I'm so committed to a color story. But I love these. I love those raspberry shades. The shimmer is great. This made me want to try more Marc Jacobs shadows because I really liked the formula. Yeah, I feel like I can't really say anything bad about this. I just feel like I have a lot of colors that are similar to this, but I do really like it. So this one has been loved and beat. It is just hammered at this point. It looks like I literally took a hammer to the inside. This was a Christmas Bobbi Brown eyeshadow palette, and this is one of my favorite neutral palettes ever if it just wasn't so fragile. Like, the shimmers in here are incredible. The mattes, this matte brown shade, the reddish one for some reason, I am obsessed with, and I like will line it up with other shadows and think that other shadow is the same, and it's just not. I don't know what it is, but I absolutely love this one. It was a limited edition one. I should have bought two. This next one is the NARS Wanted palette, which I think I was gifted this when I worked at Nordstrom, like a little gratis thing. I feel like it's kind of just like a basic palette. Some of the shimmers in this are incredible, and then some are like, okay. It kind of just depends. NARS can be a little hit or miss, and their palettes are pretty pricey. I think they're about $60 or like high 50s at least. I liked it well enough. Like, I still reach for it sometimes, specifically for this shimmer. This palette is very cohesive, so you can make like a whole look with it. That's the NARS Wanted. Oh my goodness. This is an old one, but this was like everything I wanted. I remember so many beauty influencers and stuff were doing makeup looks with this. Casey Holmes, she has a different last name now. Specifically remember her doing a look with this, and I was just obsessed with it. I thought it was the prettiest thing ever. I don't love it as much now. I wish it were all matte. Like, I feel like if a palette were to come out like this now, it would need to be like an all matte palette. I feel like this would honestly still do well today. I know they tried to come out with like another one that was similar and it just completely flopped, but this was really good and so cool to have back in the day. So that's that on the Urban Decay Electric palette. Now, these little guys are very unassuming but so good. They are the Wet n Wild little color icon palettes. They've repackaged them, and I love how they repackaged them. I don't think they have like all the exact shades yet, but they just look a lot more like high-end and luxurious, which I like, even though they're like so cheap. But I love this one. This is a dupe for the Soft Glam. This is like $6. I wouldn't say the shimmers are the same. The shimmer ones are definitely better in the Anastasia one, but I love the mattes in here. They're so good. That black, bomb. Transition shade, bomb. The brown shade, bomb. All of it, bomb. This one I don't reach for as much. Like, I may reach for like a shade or two out of here, but this one's my favorite for sure. The My Glamour Squad. Here's another NARS palette. I thought this packaging was cute. I also bought some others with way cuter packaging, but I like gave them away because I just didn't use them that much. The shimmers in here are really cool, and I thought the color story was just gonna be a lot better than it is and that I would use it more, but I just don't. I think it's because you only have 3 mattes in here. And then the shimmers just aren't anything to really like write home about. I love NARS's blushes and their blush palettes. I'm like, oh, love blush palettes. But I feel like their eyeshadow palettes, like I get them because I get excited and I get excited about the packaging, and then the formula just is kind of like, meh. Okay, this one really surprised me at how much I like it. I got this in BoxyCharm. It's the Ciate London The Velvet palette. I'm actually wearing the shimmers today. The shimmers are the best thing about this palette. The mattes are basically not matte. They're shimmers, like they kind of have a pearly finish to them, if you can see. These are very blendable. I really like the color scheme actually, but the shimmers are just so good. Like they're very underrated. So those two bottom ones I'm wearing on my lids. I just feel like they look very luxurious when they're on the eyes, which I was not expecting from this palette. I'm actually wearing mostly this palette and Natasha Denona ones on my eyes today because I just felt like it. Another palette that I have is this Laura Mercier one, which was just like a little holiday one. I think you can still get it some places because like it didn't sell very well. You have like some shimmery satin shades. You have three shimmery that is so hard to say, you guys. 3 shimmery satin shades. And then you have some, they're almost like toppers, where you have this gorgeous mauve shade. And then you have like these other toppers, which on the eye, they pretty much all look the same. And then you have like this cool smoky bluish gray color, which I really like. And they're also very flattering on the eye. They're flattering on anyone of any age. So I really like this like topper palette is what I'm calling it. This is the Beauty Bakery Breakfast in Bed palette. This came in like, when I signed up for BoxyCharm, you usually get a palette. It's more of like a mauve-y, cool toned palette. I've worn it like maybe 2 or 3 times. I'm like trying to get on like the mauve-y and cool tone shade like train, but I'm just like not really there yet. I feel like the formula is pretty good. It's nothing to write home about. I feel like every brand needs a neutral palette and this is like one of theirs, but it's not my favorite, but I got it for free. Would I have bought it with my own money? No. This is another one from BoxyCharm. I guess we're gonna do BoxyCharm palettes right now that I've received. This is the Ace Beauté or Beauty Nostalgia palette. I feel like the colors in this are actually really pretty, except the best ones in here are the shades that are in the Jaclyn Hill palette, which if I'm gonna reach for those colors when I'm doing like a fun, intense look, I'm just gonna go for that palette. The yellow is not the best, which yellow, it's hard to get pigmented. I'm not like just like slamming them for that. The green is good. I don't like this shimmery orange shade. I just feel like it looks like a Cheeto. And then this shade called Heat, which I actually really like. It's like a foiled, super metallic pink shade. It reminds me of the shimmers in the Nikki Tutorials Beauty Bay palette. It's good, but it's just not my favorite. And I think it's $30 or $40, which like when it comes down to it, I mean, like if you want to support an indie brand, good for you, you can do that. But my thing is I like supporting indie brands. I love supporting small businesses. But at the end of the day, if I can get even better quality for less of the price and it's more of a well-known brand, I'm just gonna purchase it. That's just where I want my money going. This one, I actually really like, and I forget about it a lot, and I feel kind of bad because it's been loyal to me, is how I feel. It's the NYX Ultimate Brights palette. I remember being kind of like skeptical because I was like, it's NYX. I've had some of their single shadows before and they were just like okay, they weren't incredible. I feel like you have a nice color range. Like I love that there's like a nice lavender in there. I love the different shades and tones of blue. I don't know, it's just really good. I'm not going to explain you to the colors because I'm just going to bore you to death, but I just really like this palette. I think it's great if you need something that is colorful, isn't going to break the bank, but is going to perform well. Absolutely recommend these. I love this one. These I love. They're the Viseart eyeshadow palettes and they are freaking bomb. They are all matte. It's perfect for an artist. If you are a makeup artist and you want to splurge on some bomb eyeshadows, get these. I got them through BoxyCharm in their charm shop, so they're normally a hefty price. It's like $70 or $80 and you're like, really? Because the packaging looks kind of cheap, let's just be real. I like that it's clear because like as an artist, I can see exactly what it is in my kit. So I feel like these were definitely made specifically for makeup artists. But the mattes are just so incredible and blendable and just dreamy and gorgeous and yummy and delicious. I love both of these. This one is more of like my type of everyday palette because it's warm, but I also love this one because it just has such great neutrals. This shade did break and they were kind of broken when I got them in my BoxyCharm thing, but I think I got them for like $12. So I was like, you know what, they may be cracked, but like, I don't care. I didn't pay full price. But I would pay full price, honestly, because they are that good. I absolutely love these. If you have BoxyCharm, definitely grab these when they're in the charm shop or pop-up shop or whatever. They are so worth it. I can't say enough good things about these. I love them and they are definitely worth the hype. Another NARS palette. This is my favorite of them. I can honestly say that. I love this like metallic packaging. I feel like it's actually kind of similar to the Natasha Denona one. I think the price is surprisingly kind of similar. So if I had to choose between these two, I would pick this one. But this one is very good and I love having it in my kit because you have really nice warm browns. The mattes are so blendable and the shimmers are pretty dang good in this. It's definitely the best of the NARS palettes I have. Like this is the one where I'm like, I am glad I bought this. This one's good. The other ones, I'm like, I could have gone without them. I have other shades that could like suffice. And like in this one, do I have other shades that could suffice? Yes, but are they all together like this? No. Great job to NARS on this one. I like it. So this is the new Drama palette that's now been discontinued. They have a new one out and honestly, the color selection looks a little more my style, but I like this one because they're very neutral, almost bordering on cool. Like some of the shades are more of like cool tone shades, but this is so great for my clients where, let me teach you something. As a makeup artist, what looks good on you isn't going to look good on everybody. So I love warm shades, but that doesn't look good on everybody. You need some like neutral cool tones. So I love this one. I always keep this one in my kit just because it is like perfection. And I also worked for Bobbi Brown, so I know how to work with these shadows pretty well. I know that people that haven't worked with Bobbi Brown are like, this is a terrible palette. For me, it'd be like 6 out of 10, but because I keep this one in my kit, I'd say like 9 out of 10 or 10 out of 10, honestly. The formula could be better, but it just works for so many clients that I can't complain. So this one I got in BoxyCharm, and it's more of a cool tone palette, so I'm gonna put it in my kit, but the quality is awesome. I was kind of worried because some brands, when they make like a smaller palette, the quality won't be as good. Sometimes it's actually better, or it's like exactly the same. This one, I feel like it's the same as the palette I have. I like it for the times I've used it so far, but this will be perfect for my kit for more of my natural gals. So that's what I'm gonna do with it, but I really like this. And for some reason, I don't feel like this packaging is cheap, but I feel like the Viseart palettes are cheap. This feels, there's a little more weight to this, so I don't mind it. And like I said, as an artist, it's nice to have that clear top because you know exactly what it is when you're reaching for it. Would I have purchased it with my own money? Probably not, because I have a lot of neutrals, but I'm glad I have it, and it's one I was pleasantly surprised by. This is the Lime Crime Venus 3 palette. This one I also got in BoxyCharm, and it's just kind of like a cute, fun palette. Would I have purchased this myself? No, I wouldn't have. I wish that it would have just like gone all the way purple. I feel like they kind of like went there, but they didn't, because they wanted to add neutrals, but like they also didn't go there with the neutrals. Do you know what I mean? I feel like they could have done better with this one, I'll just be honest. I love the packaging. I think it's so cute and pretty. It might be one that I'll give away later, honestly. So the very last one, this is actually one of my favorite eyeshadow palettes ever. It was limited edition. You might be able to find it on eBay if you were like dying to have it. But it is this Bobbi Brown Luxe Gems eyeshadow palette. This packaging, first of all, are you kidding me? I love it. It reminds me of like when Superman arrived in Earth in that like crystal thing, or like, I don't know why that's what I think of, but it reminds me of this. And let me open it up. Are you ready? Are you kidding me? So the thing I love about these, I feel like these are very similar to like Pat McGrath eyeshadows, the shimmer formula in these at least. They're kind of like that, almost like the chunky glitter. So this blue is like a blue and purple shift. I love when eyeshadows that are shimmery have that like duochrome, trichrome, chameleon chrome kind of thing. So they fall out. Happened a lot when I worked at Nordstrom, they always fell out. But they at least fell out in one piece, so I can't complain. This palette I think was $75 when it came out. Ridiculous, I know. So these 3 shades on the bottom, I couldn't care less about. I just don't really like them. Like the purple's okay, but it's, I don't know, it's pretty as a liner. If they would have done this purple with like a hot pink shift, I would have loved that, but whatever. These I don't really care for. This one is like so shimmery. It reminds me of like diamonds on the eye. It's so gorgeous. So this nude shade I don't love because I just have a lot of them. Honestly, it's really just like the 3 shades in here is why I love this so much. We got this as like our Christmas gift for working at Bobbi Brown. I would have purchased this had we not had it given to us. So I can say I would have purchased it, but I just love these shades. I keep it in my kit because there's just nothing like these. This one is like a gold, orangey, peach to pink shift. It's just so yummy and amazing. So I love that. Oh, as both of them fall out. I really like this palette. I think it's just so beautiful and creative. But yeah, that is the palette that we are ending it with. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Thank you guys so much for being here. We have grown quite a bit. I had one YouTube short go pretty much viral. I think it's at 30,000 views. It's the emoji makeup challenge video, which it's so funny how like the one that goes viral is the one you like kind of like didn't want to go viral. I just wanted to say like welcome to all my new subscribers and thank you for being here. I just appreciate all of your support so much. Thank you for everyone that has already been here and I will see you in my next video. Bye.